Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us across the universe, the Midwest, on the podcast, on the stream, however you're going to pick it up, radio broadcasts all over. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much. And today's going to be a good one because we have Dr. Evan Draper will be with us in just a moment here. We're going to talk about audiology. See if I can say that right. Audiology. He's a doctor of audiology, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Last week, Trey Mosley, former player at Michigan State University, great guy, Spartan Saga story, along with Brock Fletcher was here. We talked about his journey into higher ed, plus playing Division I football, playing professional football, and now getting into a real life of like working and making a check like normal people, not the professional football end of things. Different, very good. Trey Mosley's a cool guy, and he was awesome. Today, full disclosure, Dr. Evan Draper, we're related through marriage, married to my niece, Emily. What's going on, Emily? Finally getting Evan in here. Evan Draper, A-U-D. He's got letters after his name, like some of my really smart friends. He's got letters after his name. A-U-D-A-B-A-C. Evan Draper is a doctor of audiology and is certified by the American Board of Audiology. Thank goodness. He has developed his own approach to fitting hearing aids. That doesn't surprise me at all because Evan is a very interesting guy and love talking to him. Smart as heck, which is based on active listening to patients' needs and concerns. Good for you, Doc. Real ear measurements and fostering confidence. His technique is to aim to give patients the world of sound and satisfaction they didn't realize was available. There are so many issues that we can talk about with hearing that we've never discussed on this radio program. We won't have time to do it all today. Evan will be back, guarantee it, because he's just a cool guy and we want to help promote his business. He's got a new business in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Dr. Draper has a bachelor's degree in music theory. This gives him a keen attention to acoustic issues and a sensitivity to the complex needs of musicians and audiophiles. You'd love my producer, Mitch Anderson. Dr. Draper also loves cleaning earwax. That was, when we first had a conversation about this and we were talking about maybe doing this show, I asked Evan some questions. We're going to talk about some of the craziest questions that he's been asked by patients and some of the craziest things that could happen is in relation to your ears, to your hearing. And it's just like, these are things, this is what I love doing radio because we get to just play around and just talk to people about stuff. But before we go there, we do This Is Your Life is your first segment here. I want to welcome to the radio program for his first time, his high altitude appearance. I guess you'd be my nephew by marriage, Dr. Evan Draper. Evan, how are you, brother? Nice to see you. Nice to hear you. Let's go.
Good to see you, Tom. Thanks for having me on. Doing great out here.
Good for you. Hey, so the first segment is always This Is Your Life. Since this is your first episode, I'll help you through this thing. But This Is Your Life. Talk about your journey into becoming an audiologist, a doctor of audiology, because you've been around and you've done some things and created your business over there in Wisconsin, which is awesome. And we've been able to spend some time together in the last couple of years, and that's really, really wonderful. Your wife is just the bomb. Your son is awesome. And let's just talk about it. Go ahead. Take the rest of the segment. Talk about Emily. Talk about whatever you want. Talk about your parents. Talk about your journey into becoming a doctor. Go ahead.
Well, I sure wish I had heard of it sooner. I went to school for audiology at age 35 because a lot of other things didn't pan out. And it's just been fantastic. I get to use all of the kinds of skills and all the assets of my personality that I developed in different places. I used to be a musician. I used to work for religious nonprofits. I used to work with kids, do some tutoring and things like that. Audiology is a great career for me to just work with people, help them with their issues, and just do all kinds of different things on a daily basis.
Wonderful. I did not know that you were a non-traditional student. I love promoting non-traditional education. So there, you are a prime example of what I call the refirement zone. You walked in the refirement zone at 35 years old. Good for you, brother. Good for you. Talk about your family. Go ahead. Share some love, say some names, do all that good stuff.
Sure. So, Emily, I think you know her. She's your niece.
My
I met her
favorite.
when I was doing my audiology residency in Michigan. I was in Plymouth, kind of in between Ann Arbor and Detroit there, and we had some great times there. And then I graduated right in the middle of the pandemic. So we had to kind of scramble to find any place that was hiring. Moved to New Hampshire, moved to Massachusetts after a couple of years. That's where my parents are living. And then we heard about this practice for sale in Green Bay, and we flew out to check it out, on our way from stopping in Michigan for the holidays. And it just checked every box, and we moved halfway across the country again. And it's been, not all easy, but it's been fun, exciting, and fulfilling. We have a 3.5-year-old. His name is Dexter. This is a great place out here in Green Bay for him to grow up. And, he's still not excited for me to look in his ears, but, he'll get there.
You know what? He'll get there. He'll get there. I got to talk about your mom and dad a little bit. I know that you're very close with them. Talk about your parents and kind of that whole thing, your siblings. Do you have siblings? I didn't even ask you that before.
Sure. Yeah. So my mom and dad were both public school teachers at the elementary level. And that was something I had to reckon with growing up. I was an A's and D's kind of student. I took off on certain things by myself, but I didn't like being led around and made to do things that didn't make sense to me. So there were certain classes, certain techniques that I did not do well with.
You know who that sounds like to me? Your son.
Definitely. He's going to have it worse than me. It's too bad.
He's wonderful. He is the greatest little kid I've ever seen. He is awesome. But you know what? He seems like he's cut right from his dad's cloth right there for sure. For sure. I love watching you guys raising these young people. It's so fun.
So I figured, early on, I figured, maybe I should be a teacher. Maybe, I can work with kids like me who didn't respond well to kind of, traditional teaching. And I love kids, but just getting in front of a room of 30 of them was just not something I wanted to do. I did not want to make any kid do what he didn't want to do. I had a couple of jobs where I realized working with one person at a time was great for me. And it was great to work with adults, especially older adults, to say, listen, I'm going to put you in the driver's seat. I have this expertise that I'm bringing to the table, and I'm going to give you the tools, the information that you need to make your best decision. And if you don't want to, that's your prerogative.
One of my favorite sayings, let me reset this, everybody. Dr. Evan Draper is with us. He's an audiologist. He's in our family. He's a great guy. The world of sound, I'm calling this one the world of sound. Let's talk audiology. It's an interesting world that we live in, and we have to really, and the non-traditional thing is so great. Some of the questions that we were talking about, having some fun, bouncing these ideas around, give me the quick snapshot. We got about 30 seconds to go, but give a quick snapshot to the listeners on where you would like to drive this thing. I have the topics sort of in front of me, but give me those 4 things that you sent over to me, and so that the listeners know what to expect.
Sure. So I just want to talk about a couple of points for folks who have maybe heard about hearing, hearing aids, things like that. There's a lot to audiology, but I just want to address this to the folks that feel like there's a lot out there that they don't know where to begin.
There you go. Getting a hearing test, looking for an audiologist, how you can get fitted for a hearing aid. There are other things I'd like to talk to Evan about, but I don't know if we'll have time, because I know I've done so much research in the Alzheimer's dementia space and healthcare, and that hearing losses can be devastating and you can lead to other issues in your life that you may not even realize that is a hearing loss. Let me reset one more time. Dr. Evan Draper's here. The world of sound. Let's talk audiology. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back. Mitch Anderson, Vanessa, for what you do in the production side of things. Appreciate all of you. Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher. Brock is one of my best friends, and he's just a great guy. And he has been, again, full disclosure, Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. The selling team is such an awesome team. I have met many of the people at the selling team. And again, full disclosure, as you guys have heard me say this lots and lots of times, they helped us with Big House Holt when we sold that. And they helped us. Thank you to Mikey Dedman for buying Little House Lansing, where I am recording this episode today. Keller Williams Realty. Their middle name is Trust. Absolutely. I put my name on it, my reputation on it, my integrity on it. If you want to get some good people, you need to call Brock Fletcher and his team, okay? And we just recorded two of the best shows on buyers and sellers issues. The questions were generated by AI. So fascinating because if it's being generated by AI, that means that a lot of people are wondering these questions. Call these numbers because they can answer these questions for you. 517-853-6408 is the local office number. The big number you want is Brock's cell phone, 517-303-3262, 517-303-3262, or go online to kwsellingteam.com. One of the nicest websites you'll ever see. Promise you, okay? Sell your home without hassles, like we did. Buy your home without hassles, like we did. And we had strategies because they helped us. They coached us. And I love working with professionals who know their stuff because they get the job done. Again, Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. I cannot say enough about Brock and how his integrity is so strong. He's such a good guy. And you will be so happy that you reached out to him at 517-303-3262. Today, we're talking audiology and hearing. I have never done an episode like this in almost the end of our 14th season. Pretty quick coming up, starting our 15th season here real soon. The world of sound. Let's talk audiology. We now have our own audiologist. Dr. Evan Draper is our subject matter expert for this topic. And this is going to be huge on our radio program. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be huge because Evan is a cool guy. He's in our family. He's married to my favorite niece, Emily. And that's all there is to say about that. And Dexter, his son, enough said about that. Kid's amazing. Just the coolest kid ever. Great stuff. Non-traditional student. I did not know that he was a non-traditional student, and I appreciate that so very much. All right, so the points that Dr. Draper sent over to us. Evan, let's talk about getting a hearing test. The very first step. I mean, before you have a hearing test, what are some of the symptoms that you sometimes hear from your patients that they come into you for a hearing test? There must be some commonalities that are out there. Can you share a few of those? And then let's lead into the hearing test.
Sure. So a lot of times you will have a spouse who's the impetus to get the hearing test. The spouse notices that the person's not hearing so well. Somebody might have had their suspicions that they're not hearing well. People tend to notice it first in background noise. Maybe they go out to a restaurant, a bar with a bunch of friends, coworkers, and it's like, I can hear you fine, but when I get in this environment, I just cannot make out what people are saying and all the background noise. But there are lots of ways that people tend to notice, and I just want to make it as simple as possible. Just get a hearing test. It doesn't hurt. It's easy to find. We don't usually notice our hearing changing. A lot of times I'll test people's hearing and they're surprised by what they're missing. So even if you don't think you need it, even if you don't think you have a problem, just go and get a hearing test. It's good to have a baseline for ongoing measurements. It's just something that anybody can do pretty easily when you start to look.
Dr. Draper, I want to ask you this because it sounds like with a hearing loss, and I've had many hearing tests over time. I probably should get another one. Haven't had one in a while, but it almost sounds like a hearing loss could be like your blood pressure. It's one of those insidious things that's sort of under the surface. You don't even know what's going on. You don't even realize it's happening. Is that a good analogy?
You might know more about blood pressure than I do at this point, so I will defer to you. But you may notice your hearing changing very slowly as you age. You may be missing only part of the sound spectrum. There may be part of sounds that you're hearing just well, and it's very easy to not be able to tell what you're missing.
Got it. I mean, it's interesting to hear with the hearing test, what's involved with it. Patient comes into your office. They've never had a hearing test. And let me ask you this. It just popped into my head. Have you had many patients that have never had a hearing test come into you and get their first hearing test?
Yeah, it happens. Lots of folks, maybe they had one when they were in elementary school. Maybe they had a couple when they were on the job, working at a factory or something like that. It's not something that people tend to talk about. It's not something that people tend to do on a whim. It's not really well integrated into kind of our mainstream medical establishment. So yeah, I get plenty of folks that say, I was wondering, I've been having trouble hearing, maybe for 10 years. And I only just finally decided to do something about it.
What's the timeline that you would recommend for people? Every couple of years, once every 5 years, every year, like a physical? What's your recommendation, Doc?
Just go get the first one. Go get the first one and see what it looks like. And then, you'll find out where to go from there. Everything might be completely fine. And they'll say, come back and see us in 5 years. Maybe come back and see us in 1 year. It may be that there's an issue you don't know about. But yeah, the hearing does change slowly and gradually over time as we age. It's not an inevitability. Not everybody is going to get severe hearing loss as they get older, but it's correlated with age. So, the older you get, the more likely it is something's going on there.
Tell everybody about your new office. I got a minute to go before we go to break here. So kind of give us a quick snapshot on the location of the office and that you bought. Just kind of give it, and then we'll go to break. I'll give you the signal and then we'll go to break.
Sure. So this is an office that's changed hands a few times, but been in operation since 1996. We are on the southeast side of Green Bay in the Bellevue neighborhood. The previous owners were Dan and Julie Pontzloff, and we've been here for about a year. Lots of great patients, great people in the neighborhood. I love being my own boss because I get to do whatever tests I want. I don't have to worry about, insurance saying, well, this isn't medically necessary. I just do the things that I need to do and, get people the help that I think that they need.
Got it. Okay. Good segue. I'm gonna close this thing off for this segment, everybody, and let me recap everything. Dr. Evan Draper's with us. Evan is my nephew through marriage. She's married to my favorite niece, Emily. We're calling this one The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. Your hearing is very, very important. We come back from break. I'm gonna pick Dr. Evan's brain here about, listening to my music too loud. Is that a bad thing? I mean, I haven't had a hearing test in probably 10 years. Maybe you got some ringing in your ears. Maybe you got, who knows what's going on with your hearing. But you might not even know, like Dr. Evan was just saying, you may not even know what's happening. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. This week, we're talking audiology, hearing. You're not sure what audiology is all about. It's about your hearing, the world of sound with Dr. Evan Draper. I want to tell you that this segment is, again, sponsored by the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. That's how important the selling team is to us. They sponsor a couple of segments on this show. If you are in the real estate game and you want to be part of like a title office or some type of banking or finance firm and you want to be part of our package with this, let me know. Get a hold of me. If you want to get a read like this, here's what we'll do for you. And this is, I love doing these testimonials for my friends and especially my sponsors, but all my friends. I want to promote everybody in a great way. That's why Dr. Evan Draper's with us today. This testimonial comes from Ruth from Holt, Michigan. It was scary and exciting at the same time. I can vouch for that, everybody, man. When we were out in Holt and Brock Fletcher told Tom that, you know what, you really should sell Big House Holt. You really should, the markets, that's the right time. That did not go over very well with Sandy. Sandy was not thrilled with hearing that, and because we built that thing from dirt and we had been in that house for 20 years and it was perfect. I mean, it had everything but it was too big. The forever home sometimes isn't always forever. So this is Ruth talking about it. And she's saying it was scary. It was exciting at the same time. Same for us. However, the selling team, just like for us, was patient, knowledgeable, and extremely helpful. I would not hesitate to recommend the selling team to anyone, especially a first-time homebuyer. That leads me to another story that I had with our former neighbor, Mike, who came to me just out of nowhere 4 or 5 years ago asking about, helping, what did I think his house was worth? And I said, what do I know? I'm not a real estate guy, but I turned him on to Brock. Next thing I knew, there was a sign in his yard from Brock. And that's not what I intended to do, but he got good intel. And you know what? The price that Mikey thought he was going to get, he got 20 grand more. True story. Absolutely true story. If you want to get the same results, call these numbers, 517 area code, 853-6408. Or Brock's cell phone number is 517-303-3262. Go online to kwsellingteam.com. Go to the TomMattShow.com website at the bottom of the homepage. Click on through, and you'll find that really, really nice website. And lastly, I want to say thank you and hello to Joan Wright of Williamston, another Brock person who listens to the show regularly, and I appreciate everyone who are loyal listeners to the radio program. She listens to us on WKAR on Sundays at 5, coming out of Michigan State University, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much, Joan. And someday, we will have lunch and have some laughs. It'll be fun. Dr. Evan Draper's here, the world of sound. Let's talk audiology. Before we jump into the next bullet point that you sent over to me, Doc, we had a conversation at our home in Wisconsin not too long ago, and we're talking about some things that people ask you, the craziest questions you get asked as an audiologist. And you had some really funny stories. You want to share a couple of those things before we jump into the looking for the audiologist? Because here's why when you look for an audiologist, if you find a guy like Evan, Dr. Draper, who has a sense of humor, you're probably going to get really, really good care. But go ahead. Can you share a couple of funny stories that you know what we were talking about?
So, yeah, sure. I clean earwax. That's part of what I do. And, I'm going to check for that before we do anything with hearing testing or hearing aids. And people are really curious about earwax. They're always asking me all the time, like, what should I do about earwax? I don't know if they're embarrassed about it. I mean, maybe they feel like bad if they have earwax. You can't see in your own ears, so I would not go messing around in there by yourself. Have somebody look in there and do what they need to do. One time I was cleaning out some earwax. I said, I got the big piece of earwax out of there. I think there's just a little bit of little hair back there. Let me pull that out. It was not a hair, Tom. It was a bug. Oh. And thankfully, it was not still alive. This gentleman told me, I think I remember a bug flew in there a few months ago when I was out walking in the woods. So, that's only happened to me one time. The ear doctors, the ear, nose, and throat doctors probably get that a lot more frequently than I do. But yeah, it's always exciting when you get your first bug.
I was, when I asked you the question, I was about ready to say, hey, have you found a kid that has put a pea or something in their ear? And then you come up with a story about the earwax and the hair that's in, and it turns out to be a bug. Oofa. Boy. See, that's where you never know with radio, everybody. And this is so spontaneous with what we do. And that's why I love doing this stuff, because it's so much fun. It's like you learn so much. All right. Now, this is why when you look for an audiologist, expertise matters. This is Evan's second bullet point, the expertise in diagnosing. When you talk about that, what does that mean? Explain to the listeners what you mean by that.
So audiology has a very kind of strange professional landscape. There are two kinds of professionals that work with hearing. And from the outside perspective, they may look identical. I'm an audiologist. That means I got a doctoral degree 4 years after my bachelor's. I had plenty of clinical time, training, exams. I know a lot about how the medical systems of your body and hearing loss are related. Now, there's somebody else on the market called a hearing instrument specialist or a hearing instrument dispenser. A lot of times those folks might just have a high school diploma, maybe an associate's degree. It differs by state, but it used to be that audiologists did the testing and they did the diagnosing. So they diagnosed the hearing loss, they gave you a hearing test, but then they sent you to a hearing instrument specialist to get your hearing aids. Kind of like how a doctor diagnoses the disease, but then there's a pharmacist who deals out the pills just to make sure that the doctor doesn't have any ethical, conflicts when they're prescribing and selling medicine. So the problem is that hearing aids are a lot more complicated than a pill or a shot. And audiologists started getting involved in the fitting and dispensing of hearing aids. And meanwhile, those hearing instrument specialists said, well, I can do a hearing test. It's not that hard. So in a lot of states, you have these high school educated professionals and you have these doctorate level professionals doing what looks like the same kind of work. So you might go to some place and be interested in getting a hearing test, maybe purchasing some hearing aids, and you don't really know from the outset. Are you working with somebody that graduated high school or got a doctorate degree? So look for an audiologist. They have expertise that hearing instrument specialists don't have, whether they have a doctoral degree or whether they came up through the older system and they have a master's degree. But make sure you're finding an audiologist. They will send you to an ear doctor, a physician, an otolaryngologist. If you have some kind of medical issue that needs a closer look, that might need a surgical procedure or, some kind of treatment.
So the doctors work with the doctors and you do the handoff. You specialize and you as a specialist send your patients to the next specialist if you deem that to be necessary. And a hearing instrument dispenser person, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody. Don't get upset, anybody. Don't go, I'm going to send Tom some hate mail now. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, listen to Dr. Evan here because he's talking about giving you a tip. Just be careful, okay? Be careful. You can ask for the recommendations. And here, now that we have Dr. Evan on the show, you can reach out to him. You can reach out to me through our contact box, tommattshow.com, and I'll send a note over to Dr. Evan because he's going to become a regular on the show, and we're going to talk about hearing issues. And then we can just pose all these questions. So if you've got issues, if you got questions, send them over. We're here to help you. That's what this radio program's all about. Watch the videos. Listen to the radio program. Do these things. Not costing you a dime. I like to make informed decisions, and I'm going to carry this through, Evan, because we're going to go to break here in a second. Dr. Evan Draper is here with us. We're calling this one The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. Talking about your hearing, okay? Fun show, topic that I've never done on this radio program, but believe me, this is the first of many to come. This is The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Ark of All and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of The Tom Matt Show. Dr. Evan Draper is with us. He is a doctor of audiology. We're calling this one The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. Hearing is so important for your health, and we sort of take it for granted. It's almost like our vision. We take this stuff we wake up, we hear things while we're sleeping, we wake up, we see things. And again, eye exams, maybe we get more eye exams than we do with hearing, maybe because it's so much more noticeable. Maybe the hearing, that's why we're doing these episodes, everybody, because you want to become informed. The way we're going to become informed is by getting with Dr. Evan Draper. Again, I'll have all of his contact information on tommattshow.com, the website, in the recap. So please, you can check there. But right now, Dr. Evan, you want to share all your contact info with the listeners, please, and tell them how they can get a hold of you or they can get a hold of me directly, and we can pose some questions, put some questions together for our next episode. Go ahead.
Sure. So we are All About Hearing Service, and you can visit our website at allabouthearingservice.com. You can email us at contact@allabouthearingservice.com, or you can just submit the form on our website. We're located at 2555 Continental Court in Green Bay. That's on the southeast side of town in the Bellevue neighborhood, behind the Home Depot and down the street from the Fleet Farm.
There you go. Allabouthearingservice.com. Did I get that right? Allabouthearingservice.com. Perfect. I'll have that in, again, everybody, I'll have that in the recap so you can click on through and get on through to that one. Hearing aids. Let's talk about bullet point number 3 here. Hearing aids, getting into the hardware. I had some hardware issues today with my program here. Hardware issues, they pop up, don't they?
You betcha.
Let's talk about it. Are there different? Okay. Since I know nothing about this, I'm such a know-nothing. The costs involved with hearing aids and the brands, because you know me, I'm getting ready to have that knee replacement thing, and they say, well, ask them about the brand of knee replacement that they're putting in, and I'm like, huh? Okay. In a hearing aid, that's a little bit different story, right? Because it seems like there's a galaxy of different choices out there. How do people figure out which ones to get? And in your opinion, what's the best way to make the best choice for your bang for your buck?
Sure. So I agree. There are just so many devices out there at just a wide level of price points. Roughly speaking, you do get what you pay for in terms of performance from the device. So you can find some over-the-counter things out there. You can find some things for 3 figures. You can find some things for maybe $1,000 or so. List price of some of the best hearing aids on the market, we're talking maybe $6,000 a pair or so. Generally speaking, the more you pay for the devices, the smaller they're going to carve up that sound spectrum and give you better sound quality, especially in background noise. So cheaper devices will make things loud enough for you to hear, but you get into a restaurant, a crowded room, and it's just going to feel like a wall of sound. So there is value to getting the expensive devices. If you want to start with a cheaper device just to see what it might be like, just to get your toe in the water, I don't tell anybody that's a bad idea. We want to get you help with your hearing if you need it, and you start wherever you need to start.
Where would a consumer or patient, I mean, can you go to Amazon? I mean, how does this happen? Do you get a brand? Say you go to Aunt Millie's house, and Aunt Millie's got the Zebra 4000, and you want to get the Palomino 4000. I mean, where do you buy these things? I mean, you just gave us kind of a ballpark idea on its cost, but where can you buy these if you wanted to try something, dip your toe in the water, as you said? And then I had another question coming at you, but let's start there first.
Yeah, so the landscape, the marketplace is a little messy right now because maybe about 3 years ago, the FDA signed a law allowing the sale of a certain class of hearing aids over the counter. It used to be that what was strictly called a hearing aid was a prescription device, and it had to be dispensed by somebody like an audiologist or a hearing instrument specialist. And then you had things that you could get maybe that made things a little bit louder, but were not legally able to be called a hearing aid. So they might be called a personal sound amplification product. So the FDA decided that, well, we want to make these things cheaper. Hopefully that'll get more people to wear them. So we're going to create this class of products that are available over the counter. I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but it may be the right choice for some folks. So generally, any place that you go where you have to get a hearing test, you can be assured that you're looking at some kind of what we generally call a prescription hearing aid, something that's dispensed by hearing instrument specialists and an audiologist. Something that you can get maybe at a drugstore or online. you may not have the availability of that professional to modify, to program, to troubleshoot those devices. And let me tell you, that's really important. I see folks all the time, just this morning, who have spent a good amount of money on some prescription devices, really good quality. And, they're not thrilled with them. They're on the fence. They say, I don't think I like this brand. I'm going to get a different one. They come to me. I do a hearing test. I do some quick tune-ups, and they enjoy these devices like never before. There's more clarity. There's better speech discrimination and background noise. A lot of people can get you a hearing aid, and the device generally will be as good as what you pay for it. But a big part is the expertise of the person setting it up.
That's very important to understand, everybody. You're listening to Dr. Evan Draper. He is an audiologist. We're calling this one The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. And let's be careful here. Maybe your money, your finances can only afford X amount of dollars. Okay. Maybe your insurance only pays so much. That's okay. But just we're making you, and the whole purpose of this series of episodes we're going to do with Dr. Evan is helping you have a better quality of life. And I want to come back to this, which you just kind of touched on just for a second, to have a good audiologist to configure and program hearing aids. I had no idea that these are like everything else. It's like mini computers. So would you go to YouTube and do a self-taught lesson on how to program your hearing aid? Or do you go to the audiologist? I mean, personally, I don't think I'd want to mess around with that. But how important is that? I mean, that seems like it would be huge.
Yeah. So obviously, if you're not hearing very well out of your hearing aids, that might not be a medical problem. Certainly, it is a possibility, not a very high one, but you could be wearing hearing aids that are too loud for you, that are damaging your hearing further. I don't want to overstate that case, but there is another aspect where there are plenty of folks I see that have a medical issue underlying their hearing loss. They've had hearing aids, maybe a couple pairs for several years. And I ask them, are you having any dizziness? Are you having noise in the ears, ringing, buzzing? Do you feel like your hearing is different from day to day? I think you ought to get something looked at a little closer. Nobody ever asked them that question. Everyone just programmed the hearing aids according to the hearing test. So any one of these medical issues is typically rare, but it's common enough that, I see somebody every month, closer to every week, that has some kind of medical issue that needs a little closer look. So I hate to see folks go for years with undiagnosed medical issues that might involve dizziness, noises in the ears. That should be addressed as soon as possible.
Such great advice, such great input. Thank you for saying that. I'm going to reset this thing for everybody. We're going to come up to break here in just a second. Dr. Evan Draper is with us today. The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. I've got some questions for Dr. Draper when we come back. It's simple stuff. The hearing aids are so important for us to understand, but it's that getting those hearing tests. So far, we have covered in this first episode, which you guys know, these are always high altitude, like the big picture kind of shows. Get a hearing test. Look for an audiologist because expertise matters in diagnosing and treating hearing loss, like the programming. Hearing aids can help a lot, but there's more to it than just the devices. And we just talked about why that is, because they're programmable. They need to be tweaked and adjusted, and they're just like a fine-tuned machine. And if you're spending $6,000 on a set of hearing aids, you want that Lamborghini to run and run well. Again, Dr. Evan Draper is here with us. The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thanks again to Sandy for bringing us back. The only time you'll ever hear Sandy's voice on radio is in those bumpers. That's it. She has absolutely put her foot down. She is never, ever coming on the radio show, and that's fine because she does so much behind the scenes. Love her so much. She's so great at what she does, keeping the show running, keeping me straight. Before we get into the last point that you sent over to me on this hearing, and again, everybody, we're calling this one The World of Sound. Let's talk audiology. Glad that we found Dr. Evan. I'm glad that Dr. Evan married my favorite niece, Emily, and we can start this thread, these themes of hearing and helping you with your hearing and understanding more what audiology is all about. And if you've got questions, please go to the tommattshow.com, send me in the contact box, send us questions. Be happy to put it on the list for when Dr. Evan comes back again, and we can just run through those. I want to ask you something before we get into this last point, though. You know, I'm a gym rat, okay? And one thing that I have to do when I'm at the gym, I mean, because, you know, you go in the gym and sometimes you're dragging, and it's like happens all the time. I mean, you just saying, oh man, I'm not feeling it today. But I tell you, when I put the jams on, it gets me going. I got to have my jams. If I don't have my jams, I just can't do it. I mean, working out without jams is like, it's like peanut butter without jelly. There we go. So, but I tend to overindulge in the volume side of things. How bad can that be for us having loud music like for those periods of time? Is that like, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. I'm putting myself on the cross here, but go ahead. Tell us, Doc, what am I killing my ears?
It's tough to know, Tom. I would just say for your penance, go get a hearing test. Go get an updated hearing test. But sound exposure can cause hearing loss. Absolutely. It's a dosage equation. So it's basically how loud it is multiplied by how long it is. So, I mean, if you're standing right next to an airplane jet engine, it only takes a second for that to permanently damage your hearing. If something is down at 80 decibels, you could probably listen to that for an 8-hour workday and not have any adverse effect. So the louder it gets, the shorter you can safely listen to it. I don't see a lot of folks that are really blasting their music and giving themselves hearing loss, but those are the kind of folks that go to a couple of concerts and stand right near the speaker, and that is it. So there's a lot of apps out there, things on your phone that you can check the decibel level of your music, make sure you're getting safe output. But, I can barely do those calculations myself. So I couldn't expect anyone else to do it who's just, listen to some good songs while they're pumping iron.
Well, and you read my mind there about the concert stuff, because I remember back in the young Tom days, back in those party days, when I did a lot of concerts. I haven't done one of those in a long time. I'm past that now, but it could be a couple days. You come out of there just with your head ringing for 3 days. I mean, it's just like, I saw AC/DC twice. And if you see AC/DC or the Who, we're talking jams, everybody. You guys know, anybody my age knows, if you've been to those shows, yeah, it was loud music. So like Dr. Draper was telling us, he's got that little ratio, the little equation. So it's not just the sound level, it is the sound level plus the amount of time. So that was a good tip, really good tip. Thank you for that. Okay, last point. Speaking of expertise, what did you mean by that when you said make sure your audiologist performs some kind of real ear measures? That's interesting. I have no idea what that means. Can you talk to and then tell the listeners what that means and why it's important? Please.
So this is kind of a secret word in the audiology community, in the hearing community, real ear measures. We make sure that the hearing aids are actually doing what we think they're doing in your ears. So you can get a hearing test where we, measure your hearing levels in a diagnostic environment, but everybody's ear canal is different. The geometry is different. The hearing aid parts are different. That can have unexpected acoustic effects when we put all of those things together. So a lot of people will just test your hearing, program the hearing aids and pop them on your ears and say, there you go. That should be good. Now, I mean, if you've ever, gone shopping for clothes, maybe you've got one size in one brand, but you buy a different brand and it's a different size. The best results are going to come with real ear measures performed, where somebody measures how the hearing aids are actually performing in your ears. A lot of folks will tell you how important it is, and a small percentage of them are actually doing it. I can tell you, when I started out, I had a lot of people tell me how important it was and didn't do it. And I figured, well, I guess it must not be that important. But when I started to do it, I saw the difference. Finding out what the hearing aids are actually doing in your ear canal based on how you wear them can make a huge difference in whether you're wearing the hearing aids all day and everything sounds great, or whether hearing aids sound loud, annoying, and tinny, and you keep them in a drawer and never use them.
Well, if it doesn't work, just like anything else, you're not going to use them. I mean, if it's a pain in the butt, if it's not doing what it's, if you spend a bunch of money on it and you're not happy with it, you're going to be ticked off, and then you're just going to be disgruntled. So that's why having a professional tweak them, adjust them. And that's interesting to get the real ear measures. I had no idea when you mentioned the word geometry. I'm like, oh, that's all part of the equation, because everybody's different. And one of my favorite sayings from one of my other doctor friends is, it depends. And that was coming from the back specialist, the kingpin back specialist from Ontario. And he just said, it depends. Everybody's different. Same thing with hearing. Is that correct, Evan?
Absolutely. Everybody's different. Your hearing's going to be different. Your ear canal's going to be different. Your lifestyle's going to be different. I cannot tell you what the best hearing aid out there is, because it is different for everyone.
I got a question for you too on the quality of hearing aids. Are all hearing aids waterproof? Can you swim with hearing aids, or are any of them waterproof?
A lot of them are getting to the point where they're waterproof. I've heard some different things where the definition of waterproof, what you can legally say is waterproof, has actually changed over the years. Moisture used to be a big problem for hearing aids,
Sure.
But they're getting better all the time. A lot of the hearing aids, you could swim with them. It's once you get to a certain depth of a couple meters that the pressure is really going to force the water in. So you probably don't want to swim with the hearing aids in. You don't want to shower with the hearing aids in. But in a lot of cases, you probably could.
I'm just thinking in case, something happens and you fall off a boat, or you get wet, or it's raining, or just, crazy things happen in life. And so you forget to take them out. I mean, so I bet you that happens a lot with patients all the time. All right, we're getting close to where I need to get to your recap here, and I'm going to reset this, just set it up for you. This showed everybody is that first of, I'm sure there's going to be many with and on audiology and hearing, because I have never done this topic on the radio program in the almost 15 years, 14, coming on the end of 14 years that we have done this program, thousands of episodes. I've never done anything on hearing before. And I'm going to say I apologize for that, because I've never really had an audiologist. And this is how we're always trolling for topics. We're always trolling for topics and good people who can deliver great information. The world of sound, let's talk audiology. Dr. Evan Draper has a new practice over in Green Bay, Wisconsin. His new practice, it's an existing practice that he purchased with his wife, Emily. I want to get a good takeaway from you. You got a couple minutes here where you can talk about hearing and some of the things that we discussed today, Evan. What would you like to leave the listeners with all over the world that listen to the podcast and the broadcast? Go right ahead. Talk about it. Take a little bit of time and share your recap of today's episode and things you would like people to remember from today's show.
Sure. I'm just going to go over those bullet points again. Number 1, get a hearing test. Just do it. It's easy. You can usually get it cheap, for free, covered by your insurance. Just go get a hearing test. Find out what's going on. When you get a hearing test, look for an audiologist, because they have expertise that you need when it comes to treating and diagnosing hearing issues. Now, hearing aids can help a lot. You can spend a lot of money on some really good hearing aids, but the expertise matters when it comes to programming and setting up those devices, making sure they're what you need and not somebody else with a similar hearing test. And make sure you get an audiologist who performs real ear measures, who's actually testing what the hearing aids are doing in your ears and what they're sounding like. And Tom, I just wanted to show you a quick surprise here. I don't know, can you see this right here? I've been wearing hearing aids this whole time.
What I'm looking at, everybody, is a very small hearing aid that Evan just pulled out of his ear. Do you wear that all the time?
I don't, but you know what? They work really well as wireless headphones. So it was the easiest thing to do for this video conference here. You can get most hearing aids will connect wirelessly to your cell phone, to your computer, and you can stream via Bluetooth, get excellent quality sound. These hearing aids are picking up my voice and streaming it to you. It's not even the microphone in the computer. You can use an app to modify the settings on the hearing aids, change the volume. They do a lot of great things that you wouldn't expect, and they're small and discreet. It's fantastic. Go get a hearing test.
What a great tip. Get a hearing test. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests like a Dr. Evan Draper. He's so great. Thank you for being with us. Sandy, Craig, Brock, Fletcher, everybody. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Get a hearing test. Love yourself. Go get a hearing test. We'll talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Again, thank you to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Arc of All.